So I'm Shanti, good evening. Anthony has the ability to make everybody feel very, very peaceful. One of his specialities was that he always took everyone into meditation. He gave many public talks and he always led the meditation at the end. And his speciality was he was actually an English teacher, so he's got a beautiful way with words. And this is why these commentaries always sort of a little bit transformative, and they take us beyond a little bit of the physical world. Anyway, Anthony isn't always around, and then especially he's not around anymore because he left the body maybe, must be 5 years ago now, 6 years ago. But he has left that legacy behind of those beautiful commentaries that he created, especially so that we could enjoy meditation. And so tonight's topic is practical meditation. And all of us, while we're on our spiritual journey, learn that meditation isn't something that can be turned on with the flick of a switch. It's something that we have to learn. And although when we come to the center, they say, oh, if you want to learn meditation, come. So we have to actually learn a lot of spiritual knowledge first. And then they say, now we'll learn how to meditate. But I think most of us spend our whole life learning how to use our mind in the right way, because basically that's what meditation is. It's how to use my mind so that I myself have all my sense organs under my control and I'm experiencing my original self and I'm still living in this world and enjoying it. So it's all a work in progress, and every individual you meet will tell you their way to meditate. And it's really good to have all these varieties of methods, because the one thing about all of us as human beings is we get bored easy, and and when we're bored, we don't want to do the same old thing again. And so meditation, we have to keep recreating. We have to keep trying new things. Otherwise, we will very easily get bored with it. And so I remember when I first started, and I think I have mentioned it when I've talked before, but for the new ones, you won't have heard it before. But one of my things I was able to do at the beginning was in my head, sit at work and create commentaries. And I used to create commentaries and imagine the whole world was in front of me, and I had to take them and let them experience themselves to be a soul and to have their connection with the Supreme Soul. And I used to imagine the whole world waiting for me to take them beyond. And it was really quite fun to do that. And I can see why Anthony used to love to create commentaries, because in my head I created these amazing commentaries. And not only was I thought the world was having a good experience, but I was too. But eventually, that I stopped that, get a little bit bored with that. And I think one of the things I'm really, really happy about, though, is that I haven't been born in this technological age, and that I've been a great lover of the pen and paper. And I know now a lot of people don't use pen and paper, but they get out their iPhone, take notes or whatever. But with pen and paper, it's very therapeutic. And I can remember, I don't know, we used to have meditations in the centre when I lived in Geelong, and there weren't many of us there, and so we had to try and make meditation interesting. And if you can remember, if you've done our meditation course, every lesson of the course had a picture. So we were very fortunate that we were able to have a little small group of us, and we all had our pen and paper. and we'd put some soft music on, and we would put a picture in front of us. And maybe it was a picture of the human world tree. It might even have been a picture of the anatomy of the soul, a picture of the Supreme Soul. And then we would all just sit quietly and listen to some soft music and just write down how we felt with that picture in the room and what we experienced while looking at that picture. And I can remember that was such an amazing experience. And especially we used to do it in the early morning hours, because you may know that we get up at 4 a.m. for meditation, and it wasn't a natural practice for us at the beginning. And so we had to create ways actually to stay awake, because 4 a.m. is like the deep sleep time for the soul. And at 4 a.m. we're getting awakened out of our deep sleep. So having different things to do in the morning was really, really helpful for staying awake. And I can remember the most amazing thoughts used to come to me, and I would just write them down on my pen and paper, and it used to be very therapeutic. And afterwards I would go back and think, wow, they were pretty amazing thoughts I had at this hour of the morning. And it made me realize what the mind is capable of when we're sitting quietly and we're not distracted by anything, and we're getting in touch with our real self, our natural self. And just before we came on to the Zoom thing, I was having a talk to Jackie, and one of the students was telling me they listened to a talk by one of our senior teachers, and the talk was about how to reach the stage where I'm free from the effective action. And she was saying that it's not a stage I have to reach. It means that if I perform action and I don't give anyone any sorrow and just give them peace and happiness, then I'm free from the effect of any actions I perform. But I guess when there's 3 kinds of karma, you might have heard that in the karma philosophy lesson. So the first type of karma is neutral karma. And so I'm just going into this a little bit because I want to flow it on to something. And neutral karma is not experienced here now, because we're all beings of action, and every thing that I do, it has an equal and opposite reaction. But that's if I'm in the wrong consciousness. So you've probably heard us talk many times of being soul conscious and body conscious. So when I'm body conscious, I'm actually thinking on a lower level. I'm not thinking on a deep level, on a soul level. And so when I'm in that state of mind and I'm just being ordinary, then anything I do or say or even think, there's an equal and opposite reaction to it. It's creating something, a little bit of an account, bank account. And some of it's credit and some of it's debit. Only we could differentiate, because we're the only one who's aware of our thinking. But so we call that body conscious stage a time when there is V-karma. So there's action performed where there's some little trace of vice involved. So it could be like a little bit of ego, a little bit of wanting to prove that I can make everyone happy. So even if I want people to look at me because, I've got this talent, etc., then we call that body consciousness. And so every time I do something, there's an effect, a cause and effect that happens. And then when we're meditating, we move into another state of mind, and our aim is to raise our thinking and be soul conscious. And when we're soul conscious and when we're having like elevated thoughts, then the karma changes, and it's called su-karma. And then I perform action that not only brings benefit to myself, but it also brings benefit to others. And it's actually accumulating in my credit account. And that's why I wanted to mention just understanding these 3 types of karma. Neutral karma we can't experience here because the soul is not in its pure state and the world is not in its pure state. But vikarma and su-karma are the 2 karmas we walk in and out of all the time. And our aim with meditation is to get back into that su-karma. So first of all, bring benefit to myself. So my first benefit is to sit down and create my thoughts, create the thoughts I want to have, and create thoughts that are giving me happiness. Because once I'm giving myself happiness, then I'm automatically sending that happiness out to others. And, it requires a lot of concentration because our thoughts can change in a minute, or I should say like a second. 1 minute I'm having a really nice thought about what a wonderful day it is and how good it is to be alive. And then something might catch my eye. I might hear something. I could even smell something, and it will bring up something from the past. And then my thought changes. And actually, immediately, if it's something from the past and it's not giving me happiness, then I immediately become body conscious and I'll give myself a thought. And it could be like, oh, I wish that hadn't happened to me, or, oh, I didn't like that. And immediately I'm back into the vikarma stage and out of that su-karma. I'm not bringing benefit to my own mind then. So to make meditation easy and to make meditation natural and to make meditation practical, it really requires a lot of concentration. And that's what we're all about every day. Just keep on working on my state of mind because I'm the only one who can look after it. Now, people can tell me what to do, but they can't do it for me. And you may listen to this talk tonight and you may take some notes and think, yeah, but the actual effort or input, it's all up to you. And that's why it's really good to have a lot of information because I really need lots of different methods to make meditation good. So whilst I was going about my day today, Sister Pranita and I, we went shopping for Diwali. So we're at the shopping centre. And of course, it's a rainy day, so everyone goes to the shopping centre on a rainy day. So the shopping centre was really crowded. And where we live in Perth, the main shopping centre is called Carousel, and it seems to be like the meeting place for all of country Perth and half of city Perth, actually, because it's always packed. And of course, Perth being as multicultural as it is, and you just hear many different languages and see many different kinds of nationalities around, and just it's a whole sea of colour, and the senses are on overload, basically. So when I walked into the shopping centre, I thought, okay, I'm just going to be quiet, and I have a list of things I have to do, and I'm just going to do them. I'm not going to get distracted. So I tried to do that as much as possible. But myself and Pranita, we're chronic shoppers. So a few times we saw things and went, oh, wow, look at that. That's amazing. But at least we didn't sort of get annoyed or anything like that. And we actually came to a consensus on a really nice gift together. So that was really good. And then there was the drive home, and it just happened to be the school pickup time because at the moment you might be at 7:30, but we're here in Perth, we're only at 4:30. So I was leaving the shopping centre at 3 o'clock, and it was just school pickup time, so all the mums were out picking up the children. So at that time, the traffic's a little bit busy. And I find that time is the best time to practice, when the traffic is busy. And if you happen to drive a car, you'll probably know that you really have to be alert. And sometimes if you sit back and relax while you're in the car, you'll find just how tense your shoulders can get just driving along in some heavy traffic. And I know, because I've lived in Melbourne and I've been stuck in the Punt Road traffic many times, and I've also been in Frankston and on that big Frankston highway coming down to Baxter. I remember once on Christmas Day it happened and it took us 2 hours to get there. I don't think I was as peaceful then as I might be now, though, but everyone, I guess, will know what it's like to be in traffic. And that's a really good time to practice meditation. And I don't mean out of body experience, I just mean to make meditation easy and natural. Like every time there's a red light, I do it myself a lot. Is just sit back in the car, take my hands off the steering wheel, just relax and say, okay, Maureen, chance to be peaceful, chance to relax. And I just move my shoulders, because we do it unconsciously, I think, just tense up because we hold on to that steering wheel. And we're manoeuvring this car that's, it's an instrument for life or death. And we have to be all senses alert when we're driving. So when we get a chance to come up to a red light, it's really good to just use that opportunity to come back into a little bit of a meditative state and just say, okay, let me relax, deep breath and relax. And it's only 2 words. And, a couple of words spoken inside my mind, and my whole world can change just like that. And so sometimes we think we might have to do so many things to change, like a negative frame of mind or something, but it's not. It's just a quick turn of a thought. And thoughts are very fleeting, and but they also can be very powerful, and especially if I hold the powerful thoughts. And I was always told that when you speak a meditation commentary, trying to use as many positive words as possible. Or if you're having a conversation with someone, try to have as many positive words inputted into the conversation as possible. And, it's quite a challenge to just be positive and try not to use negative words, like especially the word no, and I don't like, and I can't go along with that, etc., etc. If you think about conversations you have with people during the day, and you just find out how easy it can become negative just from some negative comments. But I usually try now, and when I remember, and I do try to remember a lot, is to have a positive response to whatever's going on. So I guess in the last weekend, or I'm not sure everyone would, because some people are over it, but quite a few people I know were watching that election and hoping that he who shall not be named might not get back in, and maybe something good can happen. But really, whatever has happened has been good, because it's made people aware of what they don't want. And so whatever they voted for in that election, and Jackie reminded me, of course, that we had one in New Zealand, and Jacinta got back in, which was really good, actually. And it gives her a chance to prove herself again, because she had quite a few challenges at the beginning of her running of the country. And so now that there's going to be a change in America. And I think with America, it has a big impact on the world. But while watching that happen, to remain positive, because change is a challenge. It's a challenge for everyone. And, you know, what happens if we're with people and you all make a decision to do something, and then at the last minute someone changes their mind, and how it upsets the whole plan, and how to remain positive when that happens. So, and I often think, you know, there can be benefit in those kind of scenes. And so this is a time when I can have like practical meditation. Okay, so things have changed. How am I going to adjust? How am I going to fit in with everyone else now? And how am I just going to move forward and not have any negative thoughts at all? And so these are the kind of practical meditation thoughts that we can have. So all the time I'm always elevating my thinking, and I'm moving into that sukarma level of thinking. Because it's very easy to slip back into that old way of thinking. And Jackie just said then, you know, we've been doing this for nearly 40 years. I think it's 38 or something. And the funny thing is, you might not know this, but Jackie and I started together. And she started in London and I started in Brisbane. And we did the course at the same time, which was quite interesting. So we've both been at it for a while, and Nancy wasn't far behind us. And we've always been put into situations where we've had to play kind of leadership roles. And when you're playing a leadership role, all eyes are on you. And also, if anything goes wrong, all the words come to you as well. And so to be positive in all those situations, you know, these are the challenges of us. And I think one of the best things to help our meditation is to really appreciate all the relationships that are around us. And what I have found in my life is that I can't run away from a negative relationship, because until I turn it around, then nothing, that relationship will never finish. So what I have found was, when I've done a lot of work on myself and tried to have the best relationship I can with that person, even though it might not be perfect, I've tried to make sure that I get on with that person as much as I can, the best that I can. And when that's happened, then that person leaves my life. But until that happens, they never leave, because there's still things to learn. So there's a little saying that goes around, you know, that in relationships, people come into your life for a reason, for a season, or a lifetime. And generally, if it's a lifetime, people have usually worked through a lot of things, and they have really learned how to get on well. But when people come in for a season, think about the people that have come and gone in our lives and what we had to do to adjust and accommodate them, etc. And then some who come in for a reason, and it could be for medical, could be for education, it could be just to help me in some way. And those people, I often feel they're a little bit God-sent. They're very good people that they come in. And even if they show me something I don't want to learn, it's okay. Once I've learned it and I find out how easy it is, it's not so bad. And I can thank that person, because they came for the reason. I needed to change, and change is a challenge. So I'm back to that statement now. And changing my mind is also a challenge. It's probably one of the biggest challenges we can take up. And if you know anything about all the different forms of yoga, they talk about Raj Yoga as the highest form of yoga because it deals with the mind. And none of us are going to escape not changing our minds, not if we really, really want to get the benefit out of meditation. And our mind is, really, really tricky. And the other day when I was at a dance class, and there's a sound box that's there, and so the girl came in, the teacher came in to put her music in. And there's usually a USB port, and she just plugs her USB in and the music can go. So she unlocks the cabinet, plugs her USB in, nothing happened. No lights come on, no nothing. And and so what happened was she gets out her mobile phone, gets the flashlight out, because the box is quite dark. She's shining it all in the box, trying to find out what's wrong. And she said, all I can see is a lot of knobs and I don't know which one to turn. And she even got underneath and she tried to plug her USB into something that was underneath, but that didn't work either. But anyway, she solved her problem because she had bought her own Bluetooth speaker, so we used that. But while she was doing that, I was having this thought, gosh, that black box is a little bit like our mind. There's some corners of our mind, unless we shine a flashlight into it, we'd never know what's lurking there. So many things we don't know about who we are and what we've done and what's waiting to come out at me. And so actually this is a festival of Diwali coming up now. And so they call Deepwali or Diwali the Festival of Lights. And the memorial is that it's a memorial of the time when God came to light up the lamp of every soul. So, and they use words like God came to illuminate us. And so when we're meditating, it's like when I'm in a very good stage, in a high stage of mind, and I'm actually having that connection with the Supreme Soul, it's like I'm shining light into the deepest corners of my mind. And I'm seeing like a lot of dust that could have been left there for a long, long time. And so meditation, to get to that stage, I have to really practice and practice having elevated thoughts. So my first tip would be, if you like pen and paper, then sometimes when you have a quiet moment, just sit down and somebody told one of my friends this once, and it's very therapeutic. Just write down, how am I feeling right now? And if I'm feeling good, why am I feeling good? And if I'm not feeling good, even write down, why am I not feeling good? And actually, you're using the words feeling good. So eventually you work yourself around to a positive frame of mind. And so just little tricks with a pen and paper are very useful. And I remember a lot when we used to do meditation retreats. And one of the last things we used to do was have a group meditation, and we'd all sit in a circle with a piece of paper and just ask ourselves a question, and it would be, what does peace mean to me? And if you've got a pen and paper, you might even want to jot that down. What does peace mean to me? And I can remember after everyone had had a couple of minutes to write it down, and then I asked everyone, okay, now let's get into a soul conscious frame of mind. Let's elevate our thinking and let's talk to each other, and each one say one by one what peace means to them. And sometimes in that group there might be 8, 10, 12, don't know, 15 people. And we used to make it really nice, put a candle there, darken the lights, and then put some very soft music on. And the only criteria was they had to speak clearly. And people would just go around the circle and say what peace meant to them. And you know, it was so nice, and it changed the atmosphere so much because everyone's thinking on a soul level. It was really nice. And then, you know, the big question is, you know, what does love mean to me? You know, because we all talk about love, but what does it mean to me? Because I'm a unique individual and I have my own understanding about love. So what does it mean? And it could be, you know, what does happiness mean to me? And even just to sit down somewhere when you've got a quiet moment. And I know that your lockdown is supposed to finish tomorrow. And you might be able to get out and about, but if you've got a quiet moment in the evening, then if you can get out that pen and paper and just write it down. If you like to use your phone, even do that. But while you're having those thoughts, it means you're focused on yourself as a soul and you're thinking about your most positive qualities. And peace and love and happiness are the three most looked for qualities in the world. You know, and people spend a lot of money looking for peace, looking for love, looking for happiness. And actually, I don't have to go very far. I just have to go inside my own mind because they're natural qualities. They came with me once. They were there. And I might have acquired a few others. But once I start getting back to my origin of being peaceful, being happy, being loving, then all those acquired qualities, I don't want them anymore. No, I don't want to feel negative or jealous or irritated, etc. But I'm telling you, they will try and come every day of our lives. So the more and more we focus and concentrate on elevating our thinking, then the more we take charge of our life. So meditation is a life skill. You know, it's a lifetime practice. And it's not something we can ignore and think, oh, I don't need to meditate, I'm peaceful enough, because it's not true. I need to keep on keeping on, you know, because in 1 second, life can change and it can be taken away from me. But the more I have control of how peaceful I want to be, how happy I want to be, how loving I want to be, then the more my life's in my control. And it's very helpful for me. And so there's lots of things that people tell us to do, and maybe if we do happen to forget who we are and maybe have a bit of a burst or a loss of control, then when I get the time, just come and sit down and, okay, let's start again. And sometimes you've heard all these sayings, you know, just take a deep breath. Don't just take a deep breath, I'm going to start again. And take a deep breath and count to 10 even, if you need to, because sometimes when I've had a loss of control, my mind starts racing a little bit. So then I have to sit down and start slowing down those thoughts. It's a bit like bringing a really fast train to a stop. You know how they skid along the tracks? Well, sometimes this is what it feels like, all those thoughts going on in my mind do. It takes a little while for them to stop. And if you're lucky, and if you can, if you're at home, have a place that's especially yours, like a place where you like to just sit and be. And try not to do too much activity in that place. So because sometimes if there is that little bit slip up or whatever, then I can go to that place and I actually walk into that atmosphere, and it can be very helpful. And this is why actually we have meditation centres, because I think Bubba knew that we would need some place to go. And so he created these centres for us, and then he created instruments to live in the centres who do their best to maintain the atmosphere so that I do have a place where even if all else fails, I've got to go to that meditation centre and just chill out for a little while. And you're very fortunate if you've been able to go to Baxter, because that retreat centre has such a beautiful atmosphere, and it also has quite a few rooms where I can just sit and be. And even if I'm in the dining room or anywhere in the centre, it's always looking out at nature. And I don't think there can be anything more soothing for the soul than to just look out at nature. And so sometimes if I really want to get myself into a better frame of mind, go for a walk in nature. Or if I can't go out for a walk, if the weather's not good enough, if my health isn't that good, then, lucky us, we have YouTube, and now they have lots of things on nature, lots of music that just shows flowers and birds flying, and there's so many things on YouTube that can help us. And that's how meditation can become a lot closer to us, and it can bring us a lot more benefit. And even though eventually I do have to go back, I can't run away from the world, but at least if I get my mind in order, then it's easier for me to come back and face everything. And yesterday we had a Diwali program in Padbury, and they asked Charlie to give a talk. And I think Charlie's visiting Melbourne this week. Anyway, one of his favourite little points is that human beings spend, the researchers say that human beings spend 70% of their life thinking about the past. And I'm inclined to agree with that. And a way I used to actually make myself a little bit depressed was just think, oh, if only I'd done this, and if only I'd said this, and if only I hadn't gone there, and then this wouldn't have happened, and this wouldn't have happened, and, and I wouldn't be in this predicament now. But the thing is, I did go there and I did say that, and this predicament is happening, and it doesn't matter how many negative thoughts I have, it's not going to change. And so instead of going back and thinking, oh, if only this hadn't happened, then start it with a positive outlook. Okay, this has happened. Now, what am I going to do about it? This is a chance. This is a challenge. Let's step up to the plate and let's get myself into a better situation and a better frame of mind. And so I had to start talking to my own mind and talking to my own self. And sometimes I feel like, there's two people inside us. There's A and B. And they start arguing with each other. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. But so it's like the past arguing with the now. And but whatever I do now, it's going to create my future. So I have to be a bit careful about that, because if I don't change that negative frame of thinking and keep focusing on the past, then I can never get out of that V karma. My thoughts will be having a cause and effect from me. And many doctors have said that a lot of things that go wrong with us are psychosomatic, which means it's like negative thinking over a long period of time, and it has a really big effect on the body. But I won't go too deeply into that, but just to be aware, that if I think too many negative thoughts or have too many waste thoughts, I will get a headache. And I'll get tired. And I'll lose all my energy. But the more positive I am, then they say that positive thoughts are like an accelerator. No, I'll get more energy and I'll get more done as well. Negative thoughts don't get much done. And even I can remember not knowing about this and coming home and having to cook dinner or whatever, because for a little while I was married and had a husband who wanted his dinner on the table when he came home, and I didn't feel like cooking dinner. So I didn't cook in such a good consciousness. And I can remember some nights we would end up having a fight. And now when I look back on it, I can remember why. Because I put the negative energy into the food because I didn't want to cook. So now I make sure if I'm not feeling good to quickly change my thinking, because I don't want to be having arguments because of my negative vibrations that go into the food, because that's a cause and effect thing. So it's something to be very, very aware of, that in my practical life, my thoughts are very effective, and they do influence and go places which I can't imagine. And I know that when we went to our university in India, and they used to talk about Brahma Baba, our main founder, a lot. And part of the reason why most of us are on this path is because of the effort that he made. And sometimes when we used to sit in the courtyard and just sit there, the atmosphere kind of like, it just was like a heartbeat, just beat, beat, beat. It was so powerful. And someone said the reason being was because wherever he had spare time, even if he was just walking, he made that effort to keep his mind with God, to keep his thoughts as powerful and as pure as possible. And they also said, and he invoked all of you foreigners while he was thinking about it. He knew that a time when the whole world would come here. So they were saying, in every piece of concrete and every wall of this complex, his vibrations are left behind, and they influence us. And I quite believe it, because many people who used to come to Mudabun for the first time and walk in the courtyard, etc., will go, oh gosh, it's so nice here. I just want to stay here forever. And it's that positive energy that's there. It's really, really has that effect on us. So if I'm at home and I've got family, and obviously, I'm having a relationship with everyone, then think about what kind of vibrations are going into everything that I do. And if I happen to be the cook, then think about how much service I can do with my mind, putting really good vibrations into the food. I really, really like that. And also, because I don't have to say anything, I just have to enjoy. And I think there's the two main conversations I feel that people love to have is about health and food. So if I'm putting really good vibrations into the food, then people are going to really enjoy it, and then it's going to start a very positive conversation. And it's also an open door for me to talk about how I concentrated on being meditative while I was cooking the food. And people can't argue with that, because I've already told you how they felt while they were eating it. So I can start from there, and it can be like little things, just how much care I take. Like I have a habit of when I bring my washing in, I always fold it, and I always put it nicely in a pile so that maybe I'm not ironing it, but at least it looks neat. And it's not in a big heap, because I remember when people used to bring my washing in and they didn't fold it. And when I'd go to iron it, it was always really creased. And I remember thinking, oh, they did me a good turn, but then they made extra work. So, and I thanked them for the good turn and tried to turn off, but they made extra work. But even for myself, you know, I put a lot of effort into making things easy for myself. So I don't put off things, and so do it now so that when I have to do the next step, it's a lot easier. And I mean, I'm mentioning washing, but it could be anything. Like the other day, we had a gardening day here, and we had quite a few souls come and help us do the garden. And, you know, it was a really enjoyable day because it's quite amazing how everyone has a speciality, and they didn't have too many instructions. They just said, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Choose what you'd like to do. So everyone kind of gravitated to what they like to do. And they just were happily going about enjoying what they were liking to do. And afterwards, Pranita made us a nice lunch. And I think a few of you know Pranita and know that she likes to experiment with cooking. So we had a raw lunch, which was really, really nice. And but before we sat down to lunch, I said, okay, let's get everything put away. No, let's get all the gardening tools and everything so that we can enjoy lunch and we don't have to go out and do it later. And there was two reasons for that. One was because it was really hot and we all needed to come in out of the sun. And two is because some of the gardening tools weren't ours and I didn't want to get them mixed up and then have to try and sort it out later. So they very happily got all their tools and everything, and then we all sat and had lunch together, and it was such a jolly time. And they all went home, and on the outside it might just look like, oh yeah, we've just had a gardening day, but I've counted it successful because there was no peacelessness in the day. Everyone was enjoying what they were doing. And so I would say it was a very meditative day. We were all enjoying the day, enjoying being in nature, in the garden, at the centre. And, you know, we have that great fortune of being able to do that because Perth doesn't have any restrictions. And it was just lovely. And now today's raining. So we planted a lot of plants. and I just looked out the front yard before, and these beautiful red Lincoln roses, if anyone's a gardener, they've just started to bloom just from having been planted and in good soil, and 2 buds have already come up. So, so meditation is not really about not living life. It's about quality of living life and enjoying every moment. And of course, we have to adjust to a lot of things, and things don't always go so well, but it's how quickly I can change my mind to stay in that elevated level of thinking, which we call sukarma. So SU and the word karma, Karma, and su means bringing benefit. And so if my intention is to bring benefit, then the karma changes. It gives happiness to me and it gives happiness to others. So these are the kind of things I'm thinking about for meditation, just simple things. Meditation's simple, it's not complicated. It's just looking at my own mind. And I'm wondering if maybe there's any questions, because it's already, 10 past 8 for you. And I talked a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, Maureen. That's just really great. And I found that quite powerful, that comment, that to be conscious of what are the vibrations that are going into everything I do. It's such a way. And you talk a lot about elevated thinking. When you're in your commentaries, what would be an elevated phrase an elevated phrase that you'd use? In terms of elevated thinking, we can say, yes, positive thinking and always approaching everything with a positive thought. You're talking about elevated, so that the high thought, I am peace, or those kinds of thoughts?
Yeah, well, elevated thinking, I feel, is just I'm thinking as a soul.
Hmm.
I'm not thinking to satisfy my body. I'm thinking as a soul, and I'm getting back to my natural self. That's what I thought. Someone asked me that question the other day, actually. Have an elevated thought.
Yes.
You know, I, the soul, would like to go there. Mm. Mm.
Aha. Identifying yourself as a soul
Yeah,
brings you into that higher state of consciousness. Yes, nice. Very nice.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And like maybe I'm not getting on with someone, and I go and I'm having to meet that person, and I think, now I, the soul, want to have a good relationship with the soul. So I'll just be quiet and won't offer any opinions while they speak to me. And so you elevate your thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, how I'm going to deal with the situation.
Yeah.
I thought,
There's some comments here in the chat. Can you see them? There's one, they're appreciative words. I love your wise words. My dad used to say that deep breathing and thinking, deep breath and thinking before you say anything. Those lovely words remind me of my parents' upbringing. So all very positive. Your examples of everyday life are very real. I think most of us can relate to these examples, and it's also refreshing that it happens to other people. It's always nice to know things happen to other people. So there's not any questions at the moment. You want Maureen to expand on anything?
maybe we should go into meditation.
Yes, all right. We can go
into that. Yeah, I'm sure it's getting late and dark in Melbourne now.
Well, it is nighttime. It is nighttime.
Yeah, I know.
Is that all right with everyone? Shall we slip into meditation? If you don't have any questions you want to other comments you want to make? Okay, Maureen, would you then lead us in a commentary?
Yeah, can do that.
Yep.
Everyone hear me okay?
I think we can hear you now. You were fading a bit, but you're okay now.
Yeah, I have to be careful. There's
Oh, there's one last comment. Your suggestions of how to get out of these frames of mind are very helpful. Yeah, very practical.
yeah, well, I mean, we all have to learn how to do it because no one can get out of it but me.
It's right. You did comment during the talk that people can tell us what to do, but they can't do it for us.
Okay, so let's go into silence, shall we? And thanks for having me, Jackie. Thanks for coming on, everyone. And maybe we'll meet again sometime. And so let's go, maybe, where shall we go for our meditation tonight? Go somewhere really nice. Okay, well, let's work it out. All right, so let's sit quietly and relax. Maybe even just have a little practice of just letting my shoulders relax. Say my shoulders are the ones that hold everything. And just come back into this awareness that I, the soul, sit in the center of the forehead. And I look out through my eyes. I listen with my ears. I speak with my mouth. I smell with my nose. and I touch with my hands. These are my 5 senses, and they're my communication with the world. Before, they weren't under my control. But now that I know that I'm the soul sitting in the center of the forehead, I'm able to have them under my control. I'm able to see, to hear, to smell, to even speak and touch, and not be affected by anything negative. My aim is to use my senses to add a positive input. So while I'm sitting here quietly, I just visualize something that I'd like to change. Could even be a habit. Could even be the way I speak. But just something that maybe it might have been bothering me for a little while. And I'm going to have this determined thought that the next time I'm in this situation, I will be positive. I will add a positive vibration, and I will start the process of change. And to change, we do need some wisdom. And simple wisdom is, I'm in this situation for a reason. I might not know what the reason is, but the situation won't change until I change. And this is just simple wisdom. And when I'm aware that all it takes is my powerful thought to bring about change, I've already won. I'm already ahead. And I can feel very powerful, very wise, and very courageous. So let's go into the situation. Wise, powerful, and courageous. And by doing this, I let go of the past. I focus on the now. And I create my future. So there's a saying, knowledge is power. Knowledge is wisdom. And automatically, I have courage. And it's a great person who brings about change. And often change happens even against a lot of opposition. But that's okay, because change is always for the better. And if it's bringing peace, it's bringing happiness, it's bringing love, then that's the outcome we want. Sometimes I have to let go. And even the Buddhists have a beautiful saying. Sometimes when you let go, if it's really love, it will come back. I've always remembered that saying. So sometimes I have to let myself get out of the way, use wisdom, be powerful, and have courage. Om Shanti. So good night, everyone.
Thank you, Maureen. It's been very lovely. Felt very much involved in the talk tonight, and it's very embracing, and very wise and useful points. So thank you for coming across.